Well, last time we saw you earlier this year, I know you were hoping to get a little momentum going and came up short.
Yep.
Talk about the emotions after that fight, the feelings, and we'll get to everything that happened afterwards. Let's talk about the fight itself.
Yeah, look, I was obviously fighting a Brazilian Viscardi, Andrade, and that was in February. So I haven't fought in a fair while now. So second round, broke my hand in that fight. That put me out for 12 weeks after that. Had to get some plates in it. The fight itself, I wasn't too disappointed with. I made a couple of mistakes, I think, that cost me the fight. And yeah, you know, I was under control a bit, you know, in the grappling department. And I think it was just a couple of things that I've changed my game that cost me that fight. So yeah, look, I wasn't too disappointed. I never get torn up about stuff like that. I hate losing. Everyone hates losing, whether it's ping pong or a UFC fight. But you know, Brisbane was a good experience. I'm back in Melbourne now. You know, last time I fought here was 193 and got a good win. Trying to get momentum into that Brisbane fight, dropped a decision. You know, had an injury. Now I'm back here and you know, trying to do the same thing we were trying to do last time, and that's get back on the winning board. And I think I've done everything that I can to get myself to this stage, to put myself in a good position to do that.
Fighting with a broken hand, certainly not easy, but then on top of that, afterwards, he pops positive.
Yeah.
Give me your immediate reaction. I mean, knowing what an important fight that was for you, knowing, you know, you wanted to get some momentum going and you know, you'd had a couple losses and, you know, I know it was a big one for you. And then a guy pops positive afterwards. What's the immediate emotion and reaction like?
Well, I don't know. I wasn't angry. I was more like, are they going to turn the decision over, like to a no contest, which is, you know, it's still kind of in some sort of, shady area. I haven't heard anything from that fight yet. It's still a loss on my record, and you know, anyone who looks up Sherdog will see it's a loss. So yeah, that's disappointing. You know, the fight itself was pretty close. You know, and I think that I didn't lose the fight because the guy was juicing. Surely it probably didn't help. You know what I mean? But I don't think I lost the fight because he was fitter, because he was juicing, or he was stronger. It's just a couple of things that I made that were mistakes. Look, it is disappointing. It's shitty when you find out that someone that you fought against is cheating when you're not. So hopefully they get their act together, and you know, they're a bit harsher on some of these guys from other countries that certainly like to take a bit more drugs than us.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask, because the weird part about it to me is I don't think we still really know. We don't. There's no resolution yet, and I feel like the USADA thing is a good thing. I feel like, you know, any effort to clean up the sport is good, but I don't know. It seems weird that we're still trying to figure out what's going on. Does that bug you a little bit that even now it doesn't seem like there's resolution?
It does. You know what bugs me is I feel like a lot of things are a bit of a show, you know, and drug testing sounds good, but you know, when things like this happen, you know, with Viscardi not getting, you know, his A and B sample were positive for testosterone, and nothing's happened, you know, and nothing's really been reported. It kind of feels it's a little bit insulting to me, and it kind of, I lose a bit of faith in the testing. You know, I've been tested every fight, but you know, yeah, you lose a little bit of faith in it, I think. And you hear of people, you know, getting off. We had a couple of fighters from you know, Asia somewhere. I'm not going to mention any names, from the same team, both test positive to the same drug. And you know, I've heard differing accounts that one of them was training in America at the time anyway. So, you know, you really wonder what the underlying issue is with popping people, and whether it's got something to do with the economy of it.
Yeah.
But look, that's not really for me to make a judgment.
Yeah, no, I appreciate addressing it, man. I know it's not fun to talk about, and I know you're not making excuses for the fight, but I do appreciate
I'm
addressing
not making
it.
excuses.
I'm curious.
Yeah, look, I'm not making excuses for the fight, but yeah, it's a controversial issue, and USADA coming in was definitely good. It's definitely changed a lot of people's physiques. You know, we've seen dudes get up on the scale and suddenly they look like a pancake. You know, so there's definitely, you know, I mean, if you look at the people who you know, who haven't been cheating, they look the same from when they did 6 fights ago to now. You know, so it can be pretty black and white. You know, with performances and how countries are going, to the degree of how much drugs they take. And look, I'm happy if it goes fully clean. That would be, you know, in a perfect world, but it's never going to happen. People are going to find ways to cheat, and that's just the way it is. But it doesn't affect me up here. You know, if I know the guy's cheating and he's a blatant cheater, I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is good. This guy's going to quit.
I've heard people say it's like a mental crutch. If they're cheating,
Yeah.
you know they got a mental crutch.
It's a mental crutch, unless they're a complete beast and they're taking drugs. But
Unless they're doing really good at cheating.
look, man, I can't control that. I only worry about the things, or I'm only concerned about the things I can control. That's me, how I fight, how I train, the people I surround myself with, and everything else is just something that I don't need to concern my time with, really. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you don't get too high or too low, but do you look at this as kind of a must-win spot, like your back's against the wall?
Yeah, I look at every fight like a must-win, backs against the wall, because I always find I fight better when my back is against the wall. It's like a cornered animal. I've got to win, and I'm not making stupid decisions. Some people talk about this guy's from the wrong side of the tracks, and he's got more of a reason to win. He needs to put food on the table, but I disagree. That could make him desperate. The fight stops going his way, and I'm fucking desperate because I need to win. Otherwise, I go back to Shittyville and nothing. Just as much for me. I'm not from a bad background. I live in Australia, in Sydney, and it's a great place. Does that mean I want to win any less? No. If the going gets tough, does that mean I'm gonna quit any easier? No. I want to win just as much because I want to win for myself.
Very nice. Let's talk about the matchup itself. Break it down, kind of X's and O's. How do you see you guys coming together?
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I've never fought an opponent who's been 3 inches taller than me. He's 6'3". More targets for me to hit. I'm looking at the positives. He's long. He plays on the range. I can see him trying to keep his range, move backwards, and kind of lure me into his range. I'm acutely aware of what he can and can't do and how he switches stances and the style that he will present. But I've done my homework. I've trained with a lot of partners who are 6'5", 6'3" for this camp. I've only sparred with tall people. I've worked extensively on my skill set and improved it and kind of upgraded that. So I'm looking forward to getting out there and, like I said, you never know till you feel the guy, until you feel his strengths and his weaknesses and how he moves and how much power he possesses, till you get in that octagon, that 32-foot cage, and you move around, the bright lights are on and black curtain around the octagon. So, you just got to play it as you see it. So for me, I'm going to be heading out, doing the usual thing, how Richie Walsh fights, coming forward, pressure fighting, getting inside, looking for that. He's got a long torso, big body, huge neck like a giraffe. And if I can put some shots there, it'll be a good night.